Well, hello. Happy Felicitous Friday, everyone, and welcome to Atlanta Live. I'm your host this evening, Jocasta Odom, and I hope you are ready for a magnificent time. Let me tell you, we have the Immanuel Experience Ensemble, and I cannot wait for y'all to hear them play. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. Then we have some phenomenal pastors, Michael and Shemika Owens, and I'm gonna tell you this, their stories, their testimony, their church is out of this world. And we also have a phenomenal interview from Lorraine Larzabelle. So tonight is jam-packed with nothing but our favorite person. Who is that? Jesus, you're right. Our favorite person. He's going to construct a night just for you. So hang tight. Up first is the Immanuel Experience Ensemble, and they're playing the melody of worship. beautiful. The melody of worship. Amazing. We just thank you guys for tuning in this evening. And again, I'm your host, Jocasta Odom, and I have those phenomenal pastors that I was talking about, Michael and Shemika Owens. Hey, hey.
Hey,
Listen. Y'all know I'm so excited about this because this is a conversation that I am ready for the people to know. Because if the people aren't asking, I am.
Okay.
You ready?
We ready.
Listen, I woke up ready, and I see the both of you did too. But one thing that I absolutely love is, first of all, y'all are in love. Over 23 years in love.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Secondly, you're pastors. Oh my gosh, that found each other in an amazing way. Next, not only that, before all of that other stuff and y'all finding each other, you found Jesus. Okay?
Right.
You found him at a young age. Should be like, what in the world? Six, girl?
6 years old. 6 years old. I gave my life to Jesus.
So listen, I'm trying to see little Shemika walking and going, take me as I am. Like, how was that? Did you grow up in a church or?
I did. My mom, she just, I knew about church.
Okay.
My mom was in the church. Her mom was in the church. Come from a musical family. She plays the piano, the organ. Her mom played the piano, the organ. Her mom. So it's, it's generational.
You're part of the Clark sisters. What's going on? You got a secret to tell? Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody in the family.
Everybody in the family. And then on my dad's side, musical group. So, it's just, I think it's just a part of who we are as a family, just part of my genetic makeup.
Absolutely. So
Amen.
a wholesome Shemika goes up and gives her life to God at 6. And what was it from then on?
I did. I gave my life to Jesus. I was just compelled to. Actually, I was watching TBN, and I saw Jan Crouch on TV. And I literally was just in tune because, again, my mama was brought up in church. So TBN was a regular thing in my household. And I was watching her. She said, I want you to pray the prayer with me to invite Jesus in your heart. And I said, I want to do that. And I went to go get my mom, and I asked her to come and pray with me to say, to ask Jesus to come into my heart. And from then on, I was very serious about it. Like, it was that important to me. I was fully aware of who Jesus was, who God was. I invited my friends to church. I would pray for my friends at school, literally, at the age of 6, praying for people at school, telling them about Jesus, telling them they better be good, like the whole thing. And I think, God just captured my heart at a very young age.
I see. Like, that's what I love. Like, I love that because my boys were like that. And people would be like, oh, your children. And, and I'm like, my boys, I thought it was amazing because that's them. One day I look up and they're running up to the altar. And that's what we are trying to do. We need to flip this generation.
Right.
And we're going to talk about it because that's what you all are actually doing at your church.
Right.
I definitely want to get into that. But this... Okay, so you got TT taking you to church. And you're like, okay, the only one in the house going to church.
Right.
What was that like?
I was young at the time. We were originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and just to capitalize, my wife, even when I met her, she was just that way. Still love God, honor God with her life, righteous woman to this day. That is who she is. So, that is who she has remained to be. So it's amazing. But yeah, my auntie would take me to church when I was a kid, and I loved going to church with her. At that time, I was the only one in my family going to church. My mom, she wasn't wild. She was just a single parent trying to make it, working 2 jobs, take care of me and my sisters, all that kind of stuff. But my auntie would always take me to church, and I wanted to be there all the time. I had this I've always had this heart for God. Even as a kid, when I was a kid, I would be in my bed, I would pray, I would talk to God while I was in my bedroom. And then I tell people this crazy story. I believe God would come and get me sometimes at night. I remember as a kid, sometimes I would fly. I would see myself come out of my body, and we would fly around Cincinnati, and I'm so happy. And then I would see myself come back in my body at night. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't know that. But when I got grown, I thought, man, you know what? I think he used to come and spend time with me because I really felt that way.
He favored you.
Like, I loved it. I felt that way. I remember I would always be so happy when that happened. And so, yeah, I was in church all my life. I mean, I've always loved God. I'm not saying I was perfect, but I definitely love God.
He said I was perfect.
You know what I'm talking about? For real. So, but yeah, I've always had a pretty serious relationship with God. To this day, I love God. I honor God.
Absolutely.
We raise our children to be that way also.
Right.
I mean, we have very honorable children, everything, yeah.
Right.
And that's the only way to do it, though. You know what I mean? I feel if we're going to make changes in this world, we got to start with our kids.
Right,
Like, I don't know.
right,
You know,
right.
I always be like, y'all, Jocasta is a hot mess, but the God in her is definitely blessed.
Yeah.
So the God in me gets my kids
like
to
that.
where they, you can have that, Pastor. But the God in me, you know, he makes sure that my children
Right.
get what they
Yes.
need.
Right.
Yes.
And I love that you all are doing that. But you didn't know no other way.
I didn't
Because,
know any other
yeah.
way. It was demonstrated. You know, again, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I made mistakes, but I knew that what I wanted to do with my life was, if God wanted me to do it this way, then that's the way I'm gonna do it.
Right.
And that's just how my mind was. I was set on it, and that's how I feel like we've just kind of raised our kids. You know,
Right.
we didn't force them. We just let them see our lives.
Right.
Say that again, Pastor.
We did
Right.
not. We don't. Even though we're pastors,
Right.
we do not force our kids
Right.
to choose.
Right.
We expose them to our life, the way that we love
Very
God,
intentional about it.
the
Absolutely.
faith that we have.
Right.
You know, the standards that we have.
Right.
You know, but they chose, and they chose even
Right.
at a young age as well.
And they have great youth pastors. You know, a guy named
Right.
Pastor Anthony and Constance Adams of World Changers. They're amazing youth pastors for our children. I mean, and they've
Pastor
done
Alyssa.
Pastor Alyssa
Yeah.
Worrell. I mean, they're amazing. They really have done also a
that.
phenomenal job with our kids. You know,
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes, you know, the statement "it takes a village" is a true statement.
yeah.
You know,
It's
so
not
we're
false.
so we have great
Very
people
true.
that surrounded our kids also, and and we have great kids. We really don't have any. I mean, I know people say we really don't have any major challenges out of our kids.
Okay.
They don't. They love God. They're not wilding out. They're not drinking, smoking.
Praise
They
God.
still handling. You know, they're still
They're still
virtuous,
virgins.
virgins, and all that. I
Yes.
mean,
Glory.
you know, not that that's you know,
Yes.
I'm not trying to condemn anybody. I'm just saying it speaks to their character and their
Yes.
integrity. Even our son, who's 18, graduating next week, and I tell him all the time, like, man,
Congratulations.
like, man, boy, for your age to be the type of man you are with the level of character and integrity you are, it's very rare.
Listen,
I'm grateful
you
to
talking
God
about the
for it.
level of character. I am a
Right.
school counselor. You mean
Oh,
at the
wow.
high
So you
school.
see it all.
So you mean
Oh,
that he
yeah.
did this around all of that mess, he
Right.
still stood
Right.
10
Oh, yeah.
toes down on
Right.
what he knows to
Straight
be
up.
real.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, it's
Absolutely.
serious. And I tell my boys that. Like, my two boys, I'm like, no, you all are doing it right.
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 Like, I
Right.
appreciate it as your
Right.
mom, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So as parents, yes.
Right.
And I mean, here it is, you grew up and you were just focused on God. You took a different turn.
Right.
And you're looking at your 18-year-old and he did not take that turn.
I'm so grateful, right? Seriously,
Yeah.
because the examples I had in front of me wasn't that. You know,
Yep.
a lot of the men in my family were very promiscuous.
Okay.
Had a lot going on, and again, I was raised in a single-parent home. I had my first baby while I was in high school. My first child I had at 17 years old while I was in high school, or 18, somewhere around there. You know, it was different for me. You know, and again, I was in church. I love God. I went to church, but I still got challenged in those areas and still giving into those temptations and things happen. So just a different path, you know.
But and look at you.
Right.
That's what I want
Right.
somebody to see. Like
Right.
you still you still a dad.
Right.
You knew what
Right.
you needed to do.
I did, yes.
You know what I mean?
Always was there for my daughter.
Always.
Never abandoned her. It was
Yeah.
me and her for the longest. So
See, that's what I
was very intentional about taking care of my baby now. You know, because I understood that.
Say that
And
one
I
more
didn't want her
time.
I was very intentional
Yes.
about taking care of my baby because I didn't want her to feel
Absolutely.
what I felt with my father kind of being in and out of my life. You know, I didn't want her to experience that. I didn't want her to have to say that. You know, so I have intentionally tried to be better than, or tried to be what I would have desired when I was a kid. Like, I want to be what I would have desired. Right.
I let him be what he needed to be for our daughter in the time, you know.
Right. And we got 2 girls.
Earlier, you know, our earlier marriage, I involved myself as a co-parent, but I needed him. I need you to be her daddy, you know.
Right.
Be in her life.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
Okay, so we took a little walk in your world. You know, I'm up here getting the deets. But I love y'all's love, first of all. I love how y'all met.
Yes.
Okay, because I want the people to know. You know, I'm not gonna use the S word.
Oh Lord.
That's ST and some more. But I'm gonna cut that. You were very persistent.
Absolutely.
On getting the prize. Okay, he was persistent on getting the prize, Shemika. Like he knew. He said, "That's my wife, and I'm gonna go get her."
Right.
You know.
Right. So it was just crazy. Her church was doing what they call a Jesus parade in our city.
Yeah.
And she was passing out balloons, and I was with one of my friends. I just leaned over, and I was joking at the time, to be honest. She was just fine, but I leaned over, I said, "Ooh, man, I think I just saw my wife, bro." I'm joking. Like, I really was joking. But then I ended up, you know, had a friend who went to her church. I went to a church called Maranatha. She went to a church called Revival Center in Dayton, Ohio. So I would send messages through a friend named Jocasta. I said, "Hey, tell that girl named Shemika that Mike from Maranatha said hi." So she told her this for like almost 7 years.
Like every week.
Right.
That's all I got.
7 years.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got was a message.
But listen, I think Tony Braxton said 7 whole days. He missed the mark.
7 days now.
He missed it. I needed you to cut that down. 7 years.
I don't know. And now that I look back, I was like, oh, he was seeding this.
Absolutely.
He was seeding.
Come on now. Hallelujah. Come on.
Speak it. Look, he liked this part now. Okay. All right. You was telling me, don't you say it. But now you with it. You with it. Okay. All right.
But
so it was planted.
It was planted.
Right.
It was.
Right.
7 years.
Right, 7 years. It was crazy. And then a friend of mine was dating a young lady who was a friend of hers, and he had told me, "Man, I want you to go on this blind date with me." I'm like, "Man, I'm not going on a blind date. Might be a duck, man. I don't do no blind date." But he was like, "Man, come on, bro, for my girl." You know, I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I went to the blind date, and who was the blind date? It ended up being Shemika. It shocked me. We couldn't believe it. And then
my friend was telling me so much, like, you have to meet this guy. He's such a man of God. You know, he really, like, you would really, like, y'all would be really good together. And I was just like, oh, okay. You know, I'd never been on a blind date before, and I had just got my license. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. You know,
I want to see your face when you saw it was him.
Oh.
Show me, what was that face?
It was a stank face.
Right.
Listen.
She was shocked.
Because you like,
I'll be honest.
for 7 years
She's like, "Ooh, that's that guy that's been sending me
that's him.
Yeah.
That all I did was got messages. That's that guy, Mike.
Wow.
And she was like, Mike?
Right.
But he's so nice and da-da-da-da. And I was just like,
So we ended up talking that night just for a little while, and then she had to go home. And, you know, and she still was acting kind of funny. So I told my home at that time, you know, I was a trip. So I told her, "I said, man, I'm not going to keep on chasing that girl, man. I guess 2 men out here to worry about one. I ain't going to just be acting crazy." So, but then I ended up moving. I like maybe 6, 7 months later, I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, went to Rhema Bible College. And about 6 months in, my friend calls me. He said,
6 months in, he got a Rhema word.
I'm telling you, I got a Rhema word. That's a good one. That's a good one. So he calls me and says, "You are never going to believe who's in Tulsa, Oklahoma." I said, "Who?" He's like, "You remember that girl you liked from Revival Center?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "She goes to Oral Roberts University." I live 2 blocks from her campus. I was living in an apartment complex 2 blocks from
Oh, y'all
the
didn't
school.
tell me that.
Yeah,
Like 2 blocks
I was
away?
2 blocks from her campus. I couldn't believe it. So he said, "Yeah, she goes to a Higher Dimensions church. She's a praise and worship, praise dance leader down there." And so I ended up going like that next Sunday, and there she was dancing on stage. I was like, "Ooh." I said, at that time, Now you can't tell me it ain't God. We ended up in the same city, in the same state at the same time.
So
All of it was
Tulsa,
just
I
coming
realized-
together.
Yes,
Right.
Tulsa means the meeting spot.
That is the
meeting
theme.
spot.
It means
So
the
in
meeting
Tulsa,
spot.
so you
I
know,
just told my
I feel
kids the story about Tulsa, but y'all, we won't even go there. But yeah.
Oh yeah. That's another side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Wow.
So yeah, but
So
then
y'all
he just
met
started
up
like
together.
popping up everywhere that I was. and I
She
was
said
like,
he would
oh,
pop it up
wait.
everywhere. Wait a minute. Very
Yeah.
persistent.
Very persistent. And then I ended up realizing that, because I know we got to move, I realized that she loved peach cobbler. And I like to cook, so I got up one morning and I baked her peach cobbler from scratch. And I put a little hot towel on it. I took it to church. And
But this is the thing. He put a hot towel like one of the motherboards.
Keep it warm,
Like, he
right?
got a motherboard.
Right. Keep that
Oh my
mug
God.
I
warm.
just couldn't believe how warm it was,
Right.
and I couldn't believe that he actually he knew that was my favorite. Like,
Right.
still trying to figure that one out.
So I presented it to her after church. She ate some. She was like, "Ooh, my God, this is so good." Then all her friends around. I knew if I win the friends, I win her.
It's a
right?
wrap.
So they always like, "Oh my God,
It was.
He made you peach cobbler.
this is crazy." So I gave them all forks too. Told them to taste it.
Oh, he came prepared.
Right.
Oh yes, he did.
Yeah.
And then it's
So
been
it was a
heaven
wrap.
ever since.
23 years
23
later.
years.
Oh my
4
God.
kids,
4
4
kids, 4 grandkids. Hey.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord. Blessed be.
Yes.
I love y'all. Like, this is my new family, my new family. So, we got phenomenal upbringing in God.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
already set.
Yes.
The foundation was set.
Yeah.
Then we had some persistency happening. And then we're together, and then we create a crazy good church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
What's up?
Yeah, we excited. So our church is called the Altar ATL Church.
Yes.
And one of
Bring
the
it to the altar.
One of the things they bring to the altar. One of the things I didn't mention was my mother. My mother's a single parent. My mother relocated us from Cincinnati to Missouri because she wanted to connect me closer to God. Even though I was going to church, she actually relocated me as a kid to Missouri, Columbia, Missouri, because she felt like Cincinnati was getting too wild. Let me get you here, and we're gonna all, as a family, get in church. So our whole family ended up getting in church, and my mom really,
Come on, Mama.
really instituted that. You know, I want to make sure I honor her that way. That my mom really was
Absolutely.
protecting my destiny,
Absolutely.
and I know I am who I am doing what I'm doing because
Tell my
she
boys,
did
you better
that.
do the same thing. You
Yeah.
seen this man honor his mama.
Right. So the Altar ATL Church is a church we launched here, and it started out as a young adult ministry. It's just something we feel like we were called. We've been in youth ministry forever. I've been in youth ministry rather for 28 years almost now,
Okay.
and I was a youth pastor for many years, for 15 years of an amazing church. And then when I left there, rested for a minute, and then God begins to deal with me about young adults. So we then launched the young adult ministry. And the Altar ATL is the church that was birthed out of that. And we're excited about what God is doing
You
there.
know what? I love because you guys, you train up great leaders.
Yes.
You build amazing church, like you're planting churches.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So you all are doing a great work. And some people may want to know, like, well, okay, you're building up good leaders. How can I get that training? And I know y'all having a conference.
Yes. So,
One
of course,
Alliance.
we have One Alliance leaders. So, of course, our church meets on Sunday evenings, but our...
Tell them the time, because I love it.
So as of right now,
Right now.
we meet 5 to 7
Right.
p.m.
5 to 7.
The Altar
Location?
ATL Church, 3689 Campbellton Road. We rent out a space at a church called Believers Bible Church. Shout out to Pastor Theo, one of my friends. But we rent out that space 5 to 7 p.m. on Sunday evenings, and we're believing God for a building right now because we really believe God is calling us to do a Sunday morning experience
morning
from
church
10 a.m.
service,
So we
yeah.
prayerfully in the next 60 days, we're believing God to make that happen. 30
I
to
need
60
to add it
days.
to my prayer list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But the One Alliance Leadership Conference, it is our baby. We are so excited about it. This is going to be our 3rd time doing it. We did it in 2019 for the first time. 150 some people showed up from around the country. Pandemic hit the next year. All kind of stuff happened. Oh my God, knocked us off our feet, and we was like, you know what? We don't know if we're gonna do ministry or nothing no more. But then God rewoke that up, and now this September 5th and 6th, One Alliance Leadership Conference will be happening here again in Atlanta, Georgia, focused on developing leaders,
Yes.
especially in the urban churches and
Yes. Okay.
African-American churches. If you're in youth ministry, if you're a volunteer, if you're a youth pastor, youth worker, senior pastor, it is amazing. I got speakers coming from around the country. We got people registering from around the country. It is a phenomenal conference. We're really excited about that.
If you are involved in any shape, form with leadership, with youth, with children's ministry, you want to be at this conference.
September 5th and 6th.
September 5th and 6th. Or if you're executive staff at a church, my passion, what I do full time is I consult churches right now, travel, consulting churches, working with ministry leaders and things of that nature. And this is just a way to bring everybody into a space, let them hear from a various amount of speakers with great experience and prayerfully transform their lives. This year, we're calling it a revival in leadership because we believe that everything rises and falls on leadership.
So where would they go to register for the conference? The website?
Yes, oneallianceleaders.com, oneallianceconference.com, oneallianceconference.com, or on our Instagram, One Alliance on Instagram, or One Alliance on Instagram, One Alliance on Facebook, or the oneallianceconference.com website. You know, yes.
And you all, I want you all to leave saying something into like a married couple's life, because you all are into helping married couples as well. So what's your 30-second pitch to a married couple? Put it together and go.
So we always tell married couples that you cannot leave God out of the picture.
Right.
You have to keep God in the center of your relationship so that he can direct you and lead you and teach you how to love and prefer and honor. Because if you don't have him in the center, it's all about you.
Right. And marriage is a covenant. You got to face your development in marriage. That means that you don't have the opportunity to leave. You got to face your development. You know, God, it ain't none of your business how they treat you, but it's all of your business how you respond to your spouse. You can't control what they do, but you can control how you respond to what's going on with your spouse. So we really believe that marriage causes you to face your development and grow in spaces that you may not have ever had to, especially if you don't run. Stay in the covenant. Right. Keeping Jesus at the center.
The Altar ATL is
Church.
in the house this evening. And
Join
they
us.
are, like, your congregation is blessed to have the both of you.
Amen.
You all are phenomenal. So oneallianceconference.com, September the 5th and 6th. Go ahead and register now so they can get it together.
Early bird special going on right now.
Y'all better get it, early bird. But I want to thank you all. You are phenomenal. Everybody give it up for my family, the Owens, Pastor Michael and Shemika Owens.
Thank you.
All right. So listen, I hope that you all absolutely enjoy Pastor Shemika, Pastor Mike. They are two phenomenal people because God has called them for a time such as this for you to come to the altar. So what I mean to their church, the Altar ATL Church. You must go there because if you were moved in any kind of way by any of their stories, by that conference, then why wouldn't you? I dare you to be there at 5 p.m. on Sunday. I dare you. What do the kids say? Like double dog dare? But I dare you. Right now, I dare you to stay tuned because guess what? We have the Immanuel Experience Ensemble and they're performing Motherless Child. pitching music. Wow, oh my gosh, the Immanuel Experience Ensemble is absolutely phenomenal. I hope you've been enjoying it. I have. Remember to be calling in to the prayer line, 770-300-9828. And I am your host, Jocasta Odom, on this amazing evening on Atlanta Live. We have been having a phenomenal night tonight. I'm gonna tell you, from music to the pastors, just to God. God has done so much in our lives that we should just be so grateful and thankful for him and for what he has called his people to do. I see that he's called Pastor Shemika to be a phenomenal woman of God and to pour into married couples. He's called Pastor Mike to pour into married couples, and then together to pour into our young adults and to have that phenomenal church. I am so happy that you all got to see what God is doing at their church and in their lives. Now, let's see what else God is doing in the Immanuel Experience Ensemble while they perform Son of Man. hope that you all have enjoyed this night the way that I have. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jocasta Odom, on this phenomenal program, Atlanta Live. I hope that you are calling into the prayer line, 770-300-9828. But right now, I want you to focus on the man with the master plan of the Immanuel Experience Ensemble, Mr. Immanuel himself.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure to hear y'all, like phenomenal. I have enjoyed every song. When I tell you, you all are amazing musicians. I give it up to every last one of you. And you are playing the instruments that I absolutely adore and love. And the ones that are in my home. So it's an honor to be before you. So I'm sitting here before a person who plays saxophone phenomenally.
Thank you.
Flute amazingly. But you play other instruments as well. What else do you play?
Well, I started off as a percussionist.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, it's basically congas, miscellaneous percussion, that type of thing. And I got introduced to it by a young man that was in our community, and he had a drum, and I was simply amazed by it. And I tried to play it, but he wouldn't let me play it because I was a little thing, you know. He's like, get away from me, you know. But I eventually bought my own, and I started playing. And we would have little jam sessions on my porch. And from time to time, people would come up with instruments. And this young man came up with a flute, and I just loved it. I fell in love with it. And so I bought a flute, and I started playing it. And then another guy came up on my porch, and he had a saxophone, and I started loving that too. And
wait a minute, where were you living at with people just popping up with instruments?
I was in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah, Philadelphia is a music city.
Okay.
You know, so, yeah, but yeah, that's basically how I got started. And, you know, so I eventually bought a saxophone after that and started putting together different groups. Mm-hmm. And so eventually I started playing in different places. And, you know, at the time, you know, I was a spiritual person, but I was not. I needed a direction to go in.
Okay.
So one day I was playing saxophone in a club, in a bar. Mm-hmm. And this woman, she was very inebriated. Mm-hmm. She came up to my saxophone. I guess she wanted to flirt with me. And she spilled her drink on my horn. And I was fit to be tied. And I'm like, Lord, you gotta send me someplace where I can concentrate on you and develop my musical skills.
Okay.
And so at the time I was also making jewelry and selling it on the streets of 11th and Market. And from time to time they would go down to New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and I went with them this time. Mm-hmm. And on the way back, after we got finished selling, we stopped in this house in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I walked in the house and I saw this piano. I'm like, okay, that's nice. Somebody got a piano. Okay. Then I looked in the corner and I saw this upright bass, like my friend is playing today. And I'm like, oh boy, something's about to jump off. And as it was, they needed a saxophonist to finish the album that they were doing. At that time, it were albums. Mm-hmm. And so I went home, sold everything I had, and moved back to Atlanta. And I started playing with their group. The name of that group was Solar, Source of Life, Orchestral Revelation.
What? Okay, so you just so happened to go.
No, it was divinely ordained.
Okay, because I'm like, what? Okay, you have people coming on your porch, and then you're playing these instruments. Then you go to a festival and you play, and then you're on your way back and you stop at this home, and then you're like, okay, what's going on here?
Exactly.
And you get to be on an album. Mm-hmm. Wow. Like, yeah, he has his hands on you.
He did. And that album, they started playing it overseas. And at that time, they were spinning it like in the clubs. And we had made like a lot of albums, and I had like 6 at home in Philadelphia. So I started,
Wait, with the same group? Okay.
So I started putting them online to see how much we could get for them, because I had extra copies. They were selling like $1,500 a pop. This was for an album. At the time, that was unheard of. And I had 6 of them. So, yeah, I got paid.
Oh my gosh, okay. So musician or hustler and all the above. So now the Immanuel Experience Ensemble, how did you form this ensemble?
Okay, so what happened, we had a large group. The Solar was a large group. And there started to be some distractions that were happening. And eventually the group broke up.
Okay.
And me and the bass player, we started a series of groups. First we started Rebirth, and that was a trio. And then we started a group called Azania, which means God hears in Hebrew. And we would play at different festivals and things like that. But then the group broke up, and the bass player kind of went his way, and I went my way. I started doing solo stuff as Immanuel, playing in different churches and things like that. But I always wanted to get a group together again. So that's when the Lord pressed on my heart to start the Immanuel Experience Ensemble.
Oh, wow.
And it has had different iterations, but the group that you see now is like dear to my heart, because these are some phenomenal musicians.
So, and I agree with you. They are you all together make magical music, and then I know God he has his hands on it.
Yes.
And it is just, it's so good to the soul, right? So you have the Immanuel Experience Ensemble, and you have the Melody of Worship.
Yes.
Okay. Music to author?
Yes.
How did that occur?
Well, when you try to live your life according to what God has, here's the deal: we have to align ourselves with God's purpose. And when we do that, then He opens up other avenues for you to express that creativity that He has placed inside of you. So it was just an outpouring of that creativity that He gave me, and I wanted to name it the Ministry of I wanted to name it the Melody of Worship. That was the first song that we played. And the reason why I wanted to do that was try to give people an understanding that music is a key element in worship. And when we align ourselves with God and we play the music that we play, it's a form of worship. And just to give you an example, Isaiah, he said, when he was getting ready to prophesy, he says, "Bring me a minstrel that I might prophesy." So music is very integral to worship and allowing the Spirit of God to come in a space.
Absolutely. So we have the Melody of Worship, and how did you come up with each chapter? Like, what made those? Because I'm trying to put it together. I got your music, I have your melody book, but what about the chapters? Did God were there aha moments where you were like, oh, okay, that's what I'll name it, that's what it'll be?
Well, some of it was, and then, I don't want to give too much away, but you have ghostwriters, people to help you, and prick your mind and help you to get what's in here out on paper.
Absolutely.
So I did that as well. And so as far as the chapters are concerned, that's how they came about. But I did a lot of research as far as looking at, and this helped me as well, looking at when did music start. And so music started in heaven, but then on earth, Jubal Cain was noted in Genesis as far as the first person that was mentioned as playing an instrument. So I looked at the chronological progression of the Bible, and I looked at when music occurred, and then I just documented it. Yeah.
As well you should. So music can get a service going, and it can bring it down to worship.
Yeah.
You know, and I love it because music it's the heartbeat of everything in my house. Like if you walk in my house right now, you're going to hear jazz playing. That's just how I live my life. But it's because my kids love music like just as much as I do. And I say music is everything because I remember my babies being in my womb. I kept headphones on my belly.
Wow.
So for my oldest to be able to play 8 instruments, I feel like that's normal. Like, and I know he's not done because he's already asked for the next, you know. So I know that that's where it came from. And then my youngest, he loves drums and he loves the French horn. And so music was talking to them while they were in the womb. I was singing to them, you know, just doing all the things because it brings calmness. And I feel like it sets my home to where it should be.
Yeah.
You know, no chaos, just peace,
Right.
you know. So I find that very peaceful that you all are able to bring this whole program. Like it just was feeling good. It was just a sweet spirit.
Yeah, and I was wondering who was going to do the interview and, you know, who was going to be the host. And, the Lord hooked it up where someone that loved music was in the house, you know,
Yes.
so I'm very appreciative of that. And that thing you did with putting that, you know, a lot of people don't realize how important that is to train up a child from the womb, you know, and so that's awesome.
Oh, wow. Listen, your book, The Melody of Worship, where would they be able to get your book?
Well, they can get it on my website, Immanuel-godwithus.com, and they can also get it on lulu.com, which is a self-publishing site.
Okay. So, and you all, June 1st,
Yes.
the Immanuel Ensemble, Experience Ensemble will be playing where?
Okay, that's another story. I hope we got time. I'll make it short as possible.
You got like 30 seconds.
Okay, the Lord put it on my heart to open up a spot where Christians can come together and network and all of that. So the Gospel Jazz Cafe will be opening on June the 1st.
June the 1st. Gospel Jazz Cafe. So they can go to the website and get that information as
Yes.
well. Oh, and I have to make sure that I'm in that place. Yeah, I'm going to be there. Thank you
right.
so much, Immanuel.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the Immanuel Experience Ensemble. And I hope that you all have enjoyed this phenomenal night. It was amazing. So listen, if nobody told you that they love you, I'm telling you I love you. And if you don't feel it, just call on Jesus and he'll let you know. God is love and he loves you. Whatever you do, pray to him and he guides you. I love you and I hope you all enjoyed this evening. Good night.